3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Corey Thompson, creator of Dice Tower Dish and executive producer of Aboard TV.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 305. And we're recording this on February 1st, 2024.
Whoa.
Board Games Insider is proud to be powered by Board Game Geek. Hey, Corey, guess who's not here again?
Me.
You're here. I see you.
Yep, there
Mentally,
you
maybe
go.
not. We won't talk about your mental condition. But Ignacy is at the Nuremberg Toy Fair. It's got this crazy German name that you have to be German to pronounce. It's Spielwarenmesse, something like that. Is that it?
Yep.
Spielwarenmesse, which is the Nuremberg Toy Fair. The same way like the Spiel is the Essen Consumer Show, right? And this is the equivalent of our like Gamma trade show where retailers meet publishers and they talk about all the stuff that they've got in their catalog and the stuff they got coming, and they meet with distributors. So it's a whole big industry thing. So the average person wouldn't want to go, and Ignacy, not being the average person, he's there. He's there touting his wares. So sorry he couldn't be here. I promise he's not off the show until he says he's off the show, but he's not off the show. He will be back in the near future. But meanwhile, Corey, you need to tell us what's happening at Corey Thompson Land.
Ooh, well, Corey Thompson Land is an exciting place. It's really not. This has been kind of a down week getting ready for a lot of events and visits that are happening at the house. I've been totally obsessed lately with this game, Surfasaurus Max. It's a game that the look of it, the title of it, I never would have given it a second look, but I played it in Toronto and absolutely adore it. In short, people cooperatively create a poker hand by putting one card in at a time. And then out of the tons of cards in the middle, the best poker hand is picked. And if you contributed to it, you get points. Really simple concept. I actually played it with two and it worked really well. It puts in a dummy player, throws cards into the mix, which shakes it up. But with six, it's really an amazing game.
It did not speak as much to me as it does to you. I'm not saying it's bad or
I
anything like that,
really liked it. I
I'm
liked it to the
yeah.
point where I bought multiple copies from Germany because it's getting pretty tough to get a hold of here.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I might have 20 of them.
I have a lot of Kabanga sitting over here that will be put. And if you sign up for the Podfather of Gaming Cruise, Amigo is sponsoring and giving every cabin a copy of
awesome.
Kabanga. So spend $2,000 or so to be on the Podfather Cruise. You get this great $10 game.
Is well worth it.
But this game is amazing and not available in the United States at this time, unless you're crazy like Corey Thompson and you go out to Germany and you buy your copies.
Maybe a little bit.
What else you got?
So Alex Schmidt, a friend of the podcast, is
friend of both of ours. Yeah,
coming out to Napa, spending a weekend. So we're going to be playing games like crazy. Alex, of course, is COO of Stonemeyer Games, and we've got a date to play Wormspan.
Very nice. And Alex, of course, is also my DM in my D&D 5 campaign, and I'll talk about Wormspan as well. What'd you think about it?
Alex is just the nicest dude.
He is the nicest dude.
So really looking forward to that. But then I've got upcoming industry retreats, Cephalofair, Weird Giraffe, Rose Gauntlet, Brieger Group. They're all coming out to the house at some point, and it's going to be fun. I like having industry over to the house and having everybody relaxed and just playing games.
Hope you're charging them. I paid you when I got out there, didn't
I? I charged.
That's great.
And I wanted, because Ignacy's missed a few, I wanted to throw out the news from Portal. So just recently, Portal announced their releases for the first half of 2024. And the exciting things are Imperial Miners has its first expansion announced. This is Aztecs versus Weirdlings. They said it's coming later in the year, but I love Imperial Miners. It's such a fun game. Probably will play it this weekend, but I'm excited to have expansions coming for it, and the whole Imperial set of games are really known for different civilization expansions, and this I assume will be no different.
Yeah, excellent.
They
Love the
also,
game.
oh, me too. And Portal also announced Printing Press, which is the successor to Gutenberg. It is coming to retail on March 20th. Pre-orders are happening now, and
Look at that.
basically this is taking printing.
Pimping all the portal stuff for
I
Ignacy. And
I miss
what's your cut?
Ignacy
What's
pimping
your
it.
cut on those, man?
If I'm lucky, maybe he'll send me a game. But yeah, printing press looks great. It's got that same art style, little wooden blocks and everything that Gutenberg had. This is now taking printing into the Renaissance era, 16th century publishing. So that's what's up with me, and but just psychically, what's up with Ignacy?
There you go. That's pretty good. Um, but here at the Podfather of Gaming, there hasn't been a good Bonacore rant lately, and I'm going to save a minor rant for the news because it's related to the news. So hold on to that thought for a second. Conventions and trips that I just got back from Tantrum Con. Let me tell you about Tantrum Con, which was in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was so well run. It was such a great time. So many gamers. It's over about 1,000 people there. They've had a few more at times, but it ran so great and was so much fun. I played 3 VIP games of Thunder Road Vendetta,
Wow.
plus I played 2 more games, so I played a total of 5 Thunder Road Vendettas. Every person that I played with said, I'm getting this. Every person. And you're welcome, Justin Thompson and Rob Davio over at Restoration Games, for my continued pimping of this game.
Justin Jacobson.
Oh, Jacobson. Yeah, I said, yes. Sorry.
I'm
Changed it.
Thompson, Freudian slip.
Actually, I know another guy
I'm
named
just
Justin
always
Thompson.
on your mind.
That you are. I know another guy named Justin Jacobson and Rob Davio. You're welcome. And I know that they're going back to kickstart the game with a new expansion, which I will be first to back as soon as that happens. So everybody can get the game in a little bit. Unique events there, like they had you're not gonna believe, they had a Shark Tank, which is something I've done several times, which that's a great thing. There was 5 of us up on the stage, and then about a dozen designers pitched us games, and we gave them critical feedback and tried to be funny as well. It was a lot of fun. They had what is absolutely the most crazy thing you've ever heard: flip the table competition. So industry VIPs would get up there against each other, sometimes against the audience, and flip a table. We'd all unbox Monopoly or some other game. Usually it was Monopoly. Put it on a table and then try to have the most dramatic flip. I went against Kurt Covert. He had one audience member with him. I had an audience member who happened to be a good friend of mine, Tony Lawhorn. Tony, how's it going?
Awesome.
Yeah. And our table got the cord wrapped around it, which might have meant somebody cheated, but we can't prove that. No, it was literally a mistake that the microphone from Will Meadows, who was doing the announcing, got wrapped around. So our table just basically went bloop, and it just kind of flipped a little bit, very little height or anything. Their table.
It's okay, Steven. It happens to everybody.
Listen, it was the first time. Really, this is.
Just talk to your doctor.
Hey, this is PG. Keep it PG. There are drugs for that. But that's so good, man. Very, very impromptu. Kurt had watched some of the previous flips that happened over the course of each day, and he and the other guy, literally, without me knowing this was going to happen, they went down and they crouched down, grabbed the leg and the crossbar of these, plastic folding tables. We all have them, right? And you bring them out when you need extra tables. And then literally launched the table. The table was 12 feet higher than the stage, at least. Suffice to say, they won the table flip. It was amazing.
Well, the videos are incredible. They're slow motion videos. Oh, it's so cool.
They really are. And Kurt came out and did like this Hulk Hogan thing. Like he tore his shirt off. And if anybody knows Kurt Covert from Smirk and Dagger Games, he's the most nice, gentle, very soft-spoken kind of guy. He went all WWE on me. He out Bonaccord by a mile. So
That's
Kurt,
awesome.
I want you, Kurt. I've got you in the next one, Kurt Covert. So that
Interesting
was,
fact with Kurt Covert,
yep.
he invented 3D sidewalk chalk for Crayola.
Yes. Yes, he did. And I hope he's making millions of dollars on that. I don't think he is, but he's getting a royalty on it over time. I do know that. That's a great one. Great time there. I did play a bunch of things besides Thunder Road Vendetta. I played Station Fall, and I did play Wormspan. It was great. It really is. It's like taking Wingspan to a different level, another higher level. It's a more gamerly version. I liked it quite a bit. I only got to play a third of the game because I had to go to one of these events, but it was a fantastic experience. And the Charlotte, North Carolina beer scene is incredible. And I'm serious. We went to the Charlotte Beer Garden, has 479 draft beers on tap, the largest in the world. Amazing place if you're a beer person. Quick shout out to Herb Montalvo, BGG, it's H Montalvo J, sent a gift to me. And I believe he sent one to Ignacy. I'm sorry, Corey, you did not get one.
That's fine. That's
It
fine.
is
I'll just get coffee for the group. That's cool.
It's a game that he designed, and he plays with his group. It's called What's Next, and it's a way of not playing my least favorite game in the world. What game are we playing? Right? That's the thing, right? What game are we playing? And then everybody tries to play it, and it's this like way of just based on points of things you've done in the past that you can play a game that you pick out.
This actually sounds like a good question for the end of the episode.
Oh,
how do you pick your next?
I already put one in there, but if at some point during we can change it up.
I think that's a good question.
All right, remind me when we get there because I'll just start reading the current question.
I'm always in favor of listeners doing my job for me.
Remind me, Corey. I'll try to remember to, how do you decide what the game that you're going to play next? All right. Meanwhile, let's get over to the event deck. All right, Corey. So we have some breaking news that came out of the tabletop world crossing into the video game world. And everyone listen to the words I'm going to say. It's very important you listen to the words I'm going to say, and then I might rant a little. So an insider at Tencent IEG, and I'll tell you who these guys are, revealed that they are in negotiations with Hasbro to acquire IP rights for e-game adaptations of D&D. And I'm paraphrasing that from the article. This was reported at speed-daily.com, which is a Japanese website, literally Japanese. I translated it, read it there. And then it was also translated by Pandaily, an Asian website that is in English. And they translated it. So I just wanted to make sure that it all came out. I gave everybody the links for it. And here's the analysis of what's going on here. So Tencent, I don't know how you really say it, but it's Tencent, one word. Tencent, it's a huge company in Asia with a market capitalization. That means how much does the market think it's worth? Of about 330 billion US dollars. That is over 100 times that of Embracer Group, who we all know is the parent company of Asmodee. Embracer is quite a player, of course, in the business of electronic games, besides, of course,
they
hobby board
own
games.
Several video game companies.
Right. Huge company, but nothing compared to this company. This is 100 times bigger. Huge player in video games. Tencent is, according to this article, looking to make this IP acquisition of D&D for digital rights, as they know the value of this IP and they know how much American companies value their IPs. So making this a huge opportunity for them. Baldur's Gate 3 from Hasbro D&D World won a TGA Game of the Year award. So they know how they can usually capitalize on the D&D IP. Now, note that bene, this is not an acquisition of D&D in total. And I never said that. And nobody said that other than people who grabbed stuff and then just misrepresented it because they didn't do the research that we do. This is a potential early stage negotiation for the acquisition of IP rights for digital games based on the D&D IP. Very big difference. And again, it's an early stage acquisition, early stage negotiation. It may not happen. Thank you to TR Knight
So
for sending this to me.
why is this different? Because D&D has had a lot of video game adaptations in the past. Why is this different than just licensing D&D for a video game? Is this just a broader license all the D&D video games?
So so this is a big, we'll spend a little time on this. So Hasbro, big company, right? It's traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Their market capitalization is $7 billion. And they've had a lot of problems recently making money. Their stock is half the price it was a year or so ago. Company like this steps in and says, we'd like to do all of your, we don't know if it's all, but it sounds like it would be, we'll do the digital adaptations of your games and of course pay you back. This is a licensing thing. So the difference is a much bigger player is out there wanting these rights. So in the end, it's going to change the landscape for digital gaming for the D&D IP. And I think that makes this significant. It is not an acquisition of D&D. It's not an acquisition. They're not going to control the worlds, right? And the books and all that's still going to come out from Hasbro's WotC division, right? So very different. But of course, we got people out there that immediately went, the sky is falling because, they're getting rid of D&D and I hate the whole thing. But they didn't listen to what I said. And I posted it on Facebook in my group, and I posted it on Facebook in the Board Games Insider group. And on Twitter, there's, 140 characters, and you can only be X, but I have the links to the articles. No one read. So there were people saying this was clickbait and stuff. It's not clickbait. So here's the rant portion is, guys, please, we really are insiders, and we really can analyze this stuff for you. So it's not clickbait. It's news. It's potential acquisition to change the landscape of video gaming. So read what we are saying and then ask the questions like, well, can you explain this more if you need more explanation? And it was not only me. It was not only to my stuff. There was a whole bunch of people who were like reposting the article or reposting my stuff. And then they were.
I think that's really the bigger news here is there were a bunch of people who were misrepresenting this news,
yes,
who were trying to make it bigger than it is and creating a panic. And it might have been ignorance, but it might have just been the need to muckrake. But this is just rights to make video games, which has been done before. It's just a bigger, broader, more all-encompassing right to make video games.
With one of the largest video game makers in the world, right? The only people bigger than Tencent is Microsoft, Sony, the big names. EA maybe is bigger. I don't know where they fall these days, but we're talking about.
I think they're kind of gone.
Are they gone? Is it Electronic Arts? Yeah. I mean, they were acquired, I think, by Nintendo, maybe. So Nintendo, there's another one maybe bigger. It's bigger in video games.
Nintendo,
yeah. So all the guys who have the platforms are huge. Anyway, so just want to point out, we're reporting and we're analyzing and we're trying to help everybody out there. All right. That was a little small rant. Just understand where we're going. Corey, the next one's interesting, and it has to do with our buddies, the big board game company Asmodee, teaming up with Lego. Who doesn't love the Legos? You want to tell us about this?
So it's just a really interesting article that Asmodee and Lego Group have teamed up to announce Monkey Palace, a new board game which hits retail on October 3rd. Monkey Palace is the first jointly crafted board game by Asmodee and Lego Group. Players work together to construct the Monkey Palace. They'll vie for the highest brick income and points while the palace takes shape. I just love the concept of board games using Legos. I think it's very underutilized, and I love that a big player is now working with Lego. I remember a few scattered Lego games that were kind of Toys R Us variety games that my kids played when they were 4, something like that. They didn't really impact into the board game space. I'm hoping this is going to just open the door.
So literally, this is being debuted right now as we speak. We should text Ignacy and say, "Go check this out at Nuremberg Toy Fair," because it's there. I think this is So cool. I mean, everyone loves Legos. And it's kind of weird that we all have this affinity. Was it from our childhood or just the fact that, hey, I can build anything if I have the pieces for it? It making a game around it and a real game, it'll probably be a family weight, which makes sense. But making a
Yeah.
real game that people can create something as they play. I wonder how it's going to play out. Do you have to put certain pieces in certain places? Can you make anything? I can't wait to see how this plays out. I think it's a
It
really,
says
really cool
use
thing.
Lego elements to build, unbuild, and rebuild their palaces. The idea of a Lego piece income is really exciting. So
That is very, very cool. I look forward to seeing that. So the next one is definitely for me, Corey, as you can imagine. Ares Games has announced War of the Ring, the card game, Fire and Swords expansion. So this is the second expansion to War of the Ring, the card game. I got a chance to play this about 2.5 weeks ago again, which I love to play.
nice.
And it's just announced out of Nuremberg, and it will introduce new battlegrounds for the war in the north. As Corey, I'll explain that to you if you don't understand. There was a war in the north too. I just want to make sure you
There
know
was a
that
war?
is a war.
Wow.
New factions, new locations called skirmishes, and many new characters from the Lord of the Rings. It'll play up to 6 players now. It's fully compatible with the first expansion, Against the Shadow, which means that for Against the Shadow, they had to put new decks of cards in for the shadow player, the shadow bot. Basically, the shadow is going to play against you, against the shadow, against
Yeah.
you, either solo or cooperative. So that however they're doing it, I don't know if it's one card that will be able to be represented with the text that will make sense for both types of play, the cooperative play and the competitive play, but they will have this ready to work with Against the Shadow, and it's due for release in June 2024. I posted this in the War of the Ring forum, the official Facebook page, War of the Ring. I literally said, Roberto DeMeglio, take my money, please. And because he's at Nuremberg where his company's announcing it, and I was the first one to put it there. I haven't read the comments yet on that, but I can't wait.
You love that game so
I love
much.
War of the Ring, the board game, more, of course, but this
Sure.
card game is to die for. It really
And
is.
this one takes less than 6 hours.
You play War of the Ring wrong, sir. Oh, you know what? I didn't mention, and I'm going to mention this. This big box here. This is sort of should have been in the top thing.
Oh
I
yeah.
I got the new Dune War for Arrakis. I don't know if people watching can see that the size of this box is about 80% the size of a Gloomhaven box, and it's not a campaign game. This is a board game. There's 2 expansions that I also got. So if you add that in,
Yeah.
you've got something outsized. The box is gorgeous.
Full
You can
cool mini goodness.
you can hold it in either direction, and the word Dune is there, and the War for Arrakis is there. The art. I'm playing it with another fiend of the IP, Lord of the Rings, and huge fan of War of the Ring, Roy Canaday. On Sunday, he's coming over my house, and we're gonna play it. So I got
That's awesome, man.
right after this, I gotta go watch the only video out there on how to play it and read the rules. So I opened it up yesterday to get that going. Anyway,
Fantastic.
sorry for that. I meant to say that before, but now it came out here. Corey, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, so this is unfortunate news. Mythic Games has been around for a while. I believe they have 18 crowdfunding projects in their history. They've had problems for a long time now. They've had problems with their Kickstarter projects. They've asked for more money to continue Kickstarter projects. Some projects they've asked for more money multiple times, like Siege 6.
Wow.
And in 2022, they had sold some of their IPs that had already fulfilled to Cool Mini. They specifically sold off Super Fantasy Brawl, Steam Watchers, and Enchanters back at the end of 22. So the story continues. Mythic has now declared that they have failed to deliver their 2 newest Kickstarter projects, which are Hell the Last Saga and Anastyr. It's kind of a big deal because Hell raised 2.25 million and Anastyr raised $1 million. The good side of it, they've now sold these unfulfilled projects to Cool Mini. tying in with the
Simon.
Dune game.
Hmm.
Full circle.
That is
And
really interesting.
yeah, so there's a really interesting interview with the owner of Mythic on Board Game Wire, kind of trying to ask what's been going on, man. But the owner has gotten death threats.
Oh,
Um, it's gotten really personal. People following Mythic have gotten so angry about the fulfillment. This is a good time just to remind people Kickstarter is not a pre-order system.
that's right.
Kickstarter is a work of faith. You give money, and it's a bonus if you get the game.
That's right.
And
Nobody is.
industry should be reminded about this as well. There are several industry players who will use Kickstarter as a pre-order system. And we've got this assumption now that if you Kickstarter it, it will deliver on time exactly what they say.
I've
And there's too much to it.
I've said from the beginning that Kickstarter, it's caveat emptor, right? Nobody has to deliver. Now, if you have extreme bad faith, you can go after people. But if people mismanage money,
There's only been about two famous lawsuits where
yeah,
they went after a Kickstarter project, and one of them basically the guy took the money, bought Ferraris, and moved away.
if if you back a Kickstarter, it's buyer beware, caveat emptor. You need to look at who's doing it, look at their track record, and make a determination. So it's really, what it's made for. It's made to help a company do something. And if they can't do it, sorry, you're not getting your product. Now, I have no problem with the other side of it, the pre-order model, let's say, because it's a way to get marketing on it. Those companies will 100% make sure that they get you the game, like
My only issue
Simon.
with that is we should not assume every company is doing a pre-order model.
You should not assume that. That is, of course, the thing.
Yeah. So what's really being avoided here is what's the future for Mythic Games? The question got asked indirectly in the interview, and there was no direct answer. Their constant answer is they still have a few Kickstarters that they need to work on, they need to get into hands, and they cannot predict anything past Siege 6, which is now on the boats trying to deliver, and one other title. But they are selling off IPs, and Cool Mini is buying. So Cool Mini will do something with Anastyr
Gotcha.
and Hell, and it'll be beautiful,
Great.
but it'll be a while.
So,
So
Corey, go ahead now. Go ahead, man.
the next story here, and I'm really excited about this one. Comic Hunters has been announced, coming from the partnership of Arcane Wonders, Spin Master, and Dice Tower Essentials. So Comic Hunters is a really nice card game that was originally published in Brazil in 2020 from designer Robert Coelho. Uh, and it is a full Marvel themed card game about collecting comic books. The cards have the actual covers of hundreds of Marvel comic books. It's a fun mixture game. It is a bunch of mini games that have to do with drafting. There's a Colorado style draft. There's a shifting puzzle, like those number logic puzzles where you shift things around type draft. There's an auction. It's really fun. But it always was this unobtainable game because of the licensing, because of the full Marvel licensing. It was in Brazil and nowhere else. So now Spin Master, who that company really specializes in having IPs,
And they're
they are
big.
partnering and they're huge. And Arcane have gotten together and they are publishing it in the US. So I am so excited about this. I've played it. I have the Brazilian one. It's a really fun game, and I'm a Marvel fan.
And I think we all are, but yeah, I got a buddy of mine,
Yeah,
Mike, back in New Jersey, who his comic collection is, if at, you can't really value him at full retail, but his comic collection's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
that's amazing.
He has two rooms in his house, two bedrooms that just hold his comic books in the boxes, not like they're displayed. They're in those huge boxes.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. All
Well,
right,
Comic Hunters is scheduled for a fall release.
very, very cool. The next one's interesting. It comes from ICV2.com about ICV2. So they're announcing that there is going to be a new platform for sales direct from publishers to retail stores. ICV2 release. ICV2 is launching ICV2 Direct, a new platform for sales direct from publishers to stores. The company announced on and ICV2 Direct, retailers will be able to order from multiple publishers with a single account on an easy-to-use platform. ICV2 will process the order and send the orders and payment to publishers, and publishers will ship retail orders directly out of their inventory to stores.
Nice.
So, in general, here, they are looking to literally become a portal where publishers can list their catalogs, and then the retailers will just go there instead of trying to, maintain an account with, 100 small publishers across the US. I'm intrigued by this. It's something that I don't know if you know this, is something that PSI, we talk about them a lot. They're a consolidator, right? PSI takes all these small publishers and then ships to the distributors around the world. PSI had a retailer portal at one point. They abandoned it because it wasn't enough traction, or something like that. So ICV2 is literally implementing something that's the same or very similar thing that you can go on there. And I assume what you're going to have do is you're going to pay for the games, and then you're going to pay a shipping to each one of the publishers from whom you're ordering, which of course may be zero if you order enough money and things like that. So I applaud them for giving a shot at something that hasn't worked, but definitely with the fact that they are sort of a nexus, especially for retailers. The amount of retailers that are on this site far exceeds, I bet, the consumers that use ICV2.
Yep.
Corey, last
Quick.
story, go for it.
Temple Gate Games is a digital adaptation software company run by a friend of the channel, Teresa Duringer. And they've done the Roll for the Galaxy, Race for the Galaxy apps. They have just released their Dominion app. And what's really exciting about this is the logic within the app is driven by AI. The app has the potential where you could show it a new Dominion card and it will learn how to use it effectively. This is Dominion. Also available are all of the expansions for Dominion, and I think right now there's 107 of them, some 108, something like that. And I just think it's exciting with all the talk that we've done about AI. I feel this is a good implementation of AI, that the AI is the logic driving gameplay, and it has gotten pretty darn good. So Templegate Games Dominion app, I think it's releasing tomorrow, but with the delay, it'll be out by the time this hits.
So here is another AI usage in the board gaming space. And of course, there's a lot of talk about AI in various ways. So this is going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Very cool.
And with that, let's get over to strategy and tactics. All right, Willis Los, who's at Not Pro Tour. Hi, Willis. I know he's give us questions in the past. Over the years, my gaming collection and variety of games has grown, and I unfortunately do not have the time to get them all and to play them all, he's saying. I find that I tend to go through seasons of gaming. Currently, I play a lot of Warhammer 40K, at times RPGs, at other times my game nights will be filled with board games and party games. No matter the season I'm in, I always have my favorites that I come back to. D&D, 40K, Blood Rage, Terraforming Mars, etc. What games do you find yourself always going back to, and why? So, man, this is a sort of a list of one's favorite games, but also the ones that you're always going to go back to because they
Yeah,
just
because
can
one of
get
your
to the table.
favorites might be TI4 or something like that. And you don't always come back to that. It's hard to get a group at a time.
Hmm.
So I find I always go back to light card games, easy, fast games, almost filler style. Some of my favorites are Parade. I come back to an awful lot. Um, I do come back to Terraforming Mars because I have a lot of friends that's their favorite game, and it comes to the table a bunch. And one of the new favorites, so this kind of defeats the coming back to, but it seems to always be hitting the table, is Hilo, which is a European adaptation of the public domain game Golf. And it's just easy to play, unique, and it hits the table all the time. It's one of Above Board's favorites to bring out in the studio.
Yeah. I think that for me, I get to play Terraforming Mars a decent amount because everybody wants to play it with me, right? I go to a place and I haven't played it, at least not in the last couple of months, but it'll always be one that I'm going to get back in. I know how to play it. I'm fairly good at it, not great at it by any stretch. Certainly not a competitive play. Thunder Road Vendetta is going to be one of those that's going to have huge legs for me because it's just that much fun. Again, you're welcome, Justin Jacobson and Rob Davio and Restoration Games. And I always go back to party games. That's always in where I'm grabbing stuff on those shelves. So Clover is right over there. We brought that and it got played to Tantrum Con. I think games like any of the small card games. I played Scout recently at Tantrum Con, Kabanga, of course. Just always bringing those out, trick taking games and other light small card games because they're social and you can always bring them out. And of course, War of the Ring at every moment where I can find an opponent, I'm going to try to play it. So that's my answer, Willis. Otherwise, tough answer. Tough question to actually answer. So Willis also asks us, which Hobbit is your favorite and why is it Pippin?
Pippin's a dork.
Pippin's a dork. There you
He's
go.
always getting in trouble.
So
No,
Willis.
I my answer is almost Pippin. It's the old Took, because he invented golf. And that's Gerontius Took, of course. Stephen knew what his name was.
Of course I did. And I don't know if you realize that Pippin really was not as dorky as he is in the movies in the book. So you didn't know that, I know. So Peregrine Took sadly is not my favorite. But I'm gonna say Fatty Bolger is my favorite
Fatty
because
Bulger.
he's the fifth Hobbit that almost went with
Yep.
them. So anytime I can play Fatty Bolger in a game or play the Fatty Bolger card,
Like
it
the
makes
original Reiner Knizia cooperative
yes,
game has
yes.
Fatty Bulger.
That's right. You can play 5 and you can play that Fatty Bulger joined the party. Adam C. He's at SETI. Now that we've seen the heartwarming finale of Ted Lasso, where will Ignacy and Steven get their weekly warm and fuzzies? Is all hope lost for Ted Lasso? Okay, we have to wait on this one, I guess, because this is an Ignacy question. How's that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna write Ignacy on this, and hopefully I will remember to move it back in the lineup here. Adam C. Then what is he asking here? He says, you've said that you don't want to be in the RPG business. You put business on purpose due to ROI. But would you consider licensing out? Okay. You got to say if it's for Ignacy. He's about licensing Neuroshima heads.
Oh yeah.
So we'll also move that to later on. Sorry that Ignacy's not here, but he will answer these next time he's here. Joseph Leone, he asks, he's at Leone EJ. Question for Steven. I have just recently traded for a copy of War of the Ring. Not rings, you put rings. And that's a great trade you made. Your continued enthusiasm for this game was the reason. Do you have any advice? First advice, you're going to lose. You're going to lose badly to people who know the game. But it's
Unless
actually
you
not.
play with Steven.
Unless you play with me because I lost to somebody who hadn't played in years recently. No, I mean, there's no, it's one of those, first watch the videos, read a little strategy, but don't go crazy because just have fun with it. I mean, the best thing about that game is the exploration of the game system because it's deep and it's varied and you can play it, in so many different ways. I got smoked by John D. Clare, who hadn't played in years, because he took guys out of Isengard and he ran to the Grey Havens. Who does that? Nobody goes to the Grey Havens. I was like, yeah, you're not going to make it. You're not going to, oh my God, he's sieging the Grey Havens now.
John is such a good game
I,
player.
I hate John D. Clare. I love John. He's an awesome guy. But no, explore the game system. Don't be afraid to lose. Don't be afraid to do something wacky because it obviously can work. And I guess, and I'll make a couple of comments on both sides. Make sure you play the cards that give you those extra tiles that go in the bag at the end of the game, because those tiles are so much more powerful than the basic hunt tiles. You want to play those tiles, get them into the bag. Don't play them for their bottom, or don't discard them. Certainly the bottom is where you play for combat. The top is where you play for effect and action during the thing. Explore the game system. It's amazing. Tony Simpkins, he's at O Shift. From time to time, you have talked about role-playing games. I have no experience with this area and would like to know what suggestions you would have for somebody wanting to try this out. Now, that's a great question, Corey. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're a old school D&D guy, as I recall, right?
I am. I had a single campaign in not D&D, but in the Rollmaster system, still old school. I had a single campaign that went for a little over 20 years. So right now, though, I would go to the newer role-playing games. It can be a little tough to get involved in D&D, get a group, get a really good experience with that, especially never having played before. But the new school role-playing games are amazing. And there's a lot of solo role-playing games. Thousand Year Vampire is a really cool one. I would just explore. RPGs are easy enough to find and quite honestly cheap enough. There's a lot of print and plays and things like that. Just try stuff out. Just have fun.
I am I'm worried. Here's my suggestion to Tony, that you need to find somebody who can run the game, right? If you've never done it, whatever system it is, you need to find somebody to run it. D&D 5 is a rules heavy system. I've only really played in rules heavy systems. I played a little bit in some rules light systems, but I end up going back to rules heavy. Pathfinder 1 in D&D 3.5, I'm never going back. They're just too heavy. D&D 5 is a good rules heavy system. And of course, I want to play the One Ring. Number 2, second edition, which I will play very soon. I've been collecting the books. Find someone who can run the system, no matter which one it is. I kind of would recommend, assuming you like fantasy and fantasy tropes and all, I would kind of push it toward D&D 5, because there's so much. It's easy to create all of the stuff online, and then it's available to you and your DM. They can look at your character sheet and all that.
And a lot of it does ride on the DM who's running the system. You can have a great experience if you have an enthusiastic, really, really skilled DM.
It's so about the DM. I mean, you got to find yourself somebody who knows what they're doing. It's really hard when you don't have that. So, Corey, we're running long today, so let's get over immediately to playtesting. Corey, last week we asked about promo cards. It was your question, and the question was, you can go look for some cool things while I read it. Promo cards have become a very popular marketing tool. They certainly are. How do you feel about promos? Do you seek them out, or do you ignore them completely? So, Corey, what did our friends say out there?
There was a lot of really interesting stuff. A lot of people will accept promo cards, but with this little caveat that they might not be well balanced. There's a lot of talk about balancing of promo cards. A lot of people don't care too much about promo cards, and there's a couple obsessive completionists, which I certainly don't know what that's like. Uh, Mario Sousa said, I don't have a strong feeling about them. They work as a marketing tool, but are not mandatory to have. I don't always have that urge. I like to get promos for my favorite games when and if I have the opportunity for it. I don't go beyond and further to get that promo. So there's a lot of answers like that.
We have the answers were very varied. I mean, Greg Senko, he said, I am an absolute sucker for promo cards. I will often jump, skip, and hurdle my way toward the unique promotional addition to a game I own or one I'm interested in getting. On occasion, some promos may tip the scales too much during gameplay. Captain of the Guard promo for After the Empire. He's calling that one out. And I won't lose sleep over missing out on it. Otherwise, publishers have me hook, line, and sinker on these things. And then on the other side, Valentin Cretin, he says, it could generate too much frustration, so I pretend they don't exist. So
I get that.
yeah, we talked about it already. I mean, I don't care unless it's one of my like 10 rated game, or I still play the game the way it is. So the game is the game, and it's going to be great. But a lot of back and forth on
Yeah,
this one.
absolutely. Dan the Man said, trying to keep up with all the new board game releases is difficult enough. It's impossible to keep up with the promos. I ignore them.
There you go.
Even if I get them free from a pre-order or through other means, I very rarely use them. The only promo I've gotten a bit of use out of was the Dracus monster promo from King of Tokyo. It didn't change the gameplay. It was just an alternate monster from Patrick Rothfuss's Name of the Wind novel that I thought looked really cool. So that was a cool one.
Very, very great answers from everybody. Thank you so much. So, Corey, based on your idea there, this is a great question to ask everybody else, right? So, read the question, Corey, that I just put up there for you.
So I, in my infinite
Yes.
wisdom and knowledge, have just made up this question and certainly was not fed it from a listener. How do you decide what game you will play or play next on your game nights? This is always the dilemma, is how do you do it? Rather than spend hours just sitting there arguing about what's going to hit the table next.
Yeah, and as I mentioned up top, literally my least favorite game in the world to play is what game are we playing next? That makes me crazy. That is maybe my second most obnoxious thing to like AP. I'm not an APer. I don't want to play with people who have
No.
AP. Can't stand it. I don't want to play the game. Well, what are we playing next? And it takes us. And not look, everyone. We're always going to ask the question, right? Because there's 5 of us here. We finish the game. What are we playing next? Okay, but then let's make a quick decision. Let's not like make a decision and somebody says, "Oh, I can't play that one." You know, like just make a decision. You know, let's we're all friends. Let's quickly move to it.
So I can tell you that when this looks like it's becoming a problem, what my group usually does is everybody who has decided they're going to play goes and grabs a game, and all of them go on the table. Then, one at a time, players get to eliminate one game.
That's pretty
If
cool.
there's one left on the table, that's what you play. No complaining.
But what's the order of elimination? Because like I don't really want that game at all that like someone put down, but you threw that one out before I got a chance to. So great, I can throw out another game.
It usually doesn't come to that. People who
Right.
AP over picking one don't usually AP about saying, I don't want to play that one.
there you go. There you go. So yeah, for me, I mean, how do I decide? I'm always going to pick a game. I'm going to try to pick a game that I can actually teach the rules to, right? I mean, I think that's sort of a thing. You want to, and I don't like when people say, "Hey, let's play game X," and they have either no idea how to play the game at all, they've always wanted to, or they haven't played the game in 3 years and it's, a rules heavy that they don't remember it. So I want to play something, that somebody can teach. If I can teach
Yeah,
it, awesome. If
absolutely.
you can teach it, that's awesome. But unless we all say, like, you know what, tonight we're getting together and we're going to play this game and we're going to
Sometimes there'll
learn
be
it
a
together.
brand new one and everybody wants to learn it.
Right. If we'll learn it together. But I want to come into expectations with that. Like, and it probably is going to be Cult of the New in that particular case.
At the get-togethers at the house in Napa, if we have a bunch of people, what I've been doing recently too is I have a table set up of games I want someone to teach Corey.
Oh, that's cool.
And I just put a pile of them there, and every once in a while someone will walk over and say, I know how to play this, let me teach you.
That's nice. I mean, and I wish that I had somebody that I could go to do those things for me these days. My buddy Chad, who listens, I saw him this week at Tantrum Con. He's not here anymore, so I'm trying to get him to move to Florida. Chad,
Who would move to Florida?
Chad, happy wife, happy life. His wife wants to move to Florida, but he's from the north and he'd rather stay closer to colder, not hot, humid weather. Anyway, everybody out there, tell us what you think about this. How does your game group decide, what you'll play, or the next game you'll play after you've played the first game? Please go to our guild on BGG and find our playtesting thread with this question and post your answer to it. We might speak about it next time. Meanwhile, let's end with the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts, or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. You want to be part of this podcast? You can. Just ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment by posting them in the correct thread in our guild on Board Game Geek, and also answer our question to you from the playtesting segment by going to our guild on Board Game Geek and looking for the thread with this episode's question. Check out our websites, which are portalgamesus.com, podfathergaming.com, dicetowerdish.com, play2zgames.com. We are all over social media. Interact with us on Facebook. Please like our pages, /BoardGamesInsider, /PortalGamesUS, /PodfatherGaming, /Play2ZGames. And you can speak directly to Corey, Ignacy, Steven on Twitter and Instagram or X or whatever you want to call these platforms, at Portal Games US, at Podfather Gaming, at Dice Tower Dish, and the active YouTube channels are Portal Games Studio, the Podfather Gaming, and Above Board TV. TikTok, Ignacy is Portal Games US. We'd love to see you at an upcoming convention. If we had a lot of people come up and say, love your podcast, love your work, thanks for what you do. So thank you, Tantrum Con attendees, for interacting. That was great. Please continue doing that when you see us at future cons. Ask us questions, whatever you want. Board Games Insider is professionally edited by Joshua Bowman from Tabletop Submarine Podcast, who was also at Tantrum Con. If you want him to edit your podcast, reach out to him to discuss at tabletopsubmarine@gmail.com. And that great voice you hear doing the intro, outro, and in between segments is that of Ray Greenlee, and he can be contacted to do your voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Anything you'd like to add to the closing moments?
Nothing too exciting going on right now. Above Board TV is still cranking out videos, so go check them out. Our video of playing games on a live volcano should be coming pretty soon.
Awesome. I can't wait. Love the videos. Everybody, we'll see you in a week. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.